So today I want to talk about what is the higher self and what does that mean? And as usual, if you're not familiar with my channel, I will go in and talk to the guides and have them explain it, and then we'll chat afterwards. So when I ask the guides what the higher self is, they are a little bit amused because they are basically saying that some of the concepts, especially around time and parallel incarnations and stuff like that, is a little out there for most people. And so they're going to try to really bring this into a grounded conversation that is easy to understand. And so what they're showing me is, and they are saying that the pie concept is a really a good metaphor, is that there is a pie, and that pie is your higher self, your entire your entire soul. And what happens when you incarnate is that a piece of that pie comes to earth. Well, we'll talk about earth for now. So it comes and it incarnates. And so what happens is when that piece of the pie comes, that piece of the pie has a specific soul plan, which we've covered. And then there's the higher self. That the higher self basically resides in a place of love and compassion, but it also very much knows and is very intimately aware of the energy that it has picked up along the way. And so that part, so there's still that divine spark, universal consciousness, whatever you want to call it, in the higher self. But the higher self is individualized. Basically, it lives more in a place of love and compassion and is able to see all of the things that makes it individual from a place of love and compassion, but it still has those things, if that makes sense. So it's not, the higher self is not necessarily fully reincorporated into universal consciousness or God or whatever you want to call it. It's the individualized part of you that is in a place, in a realm, a dimension of pure love and compassion. And so what happens is, and this is why it's so beautiful that your higher self helps you create your soul plan, is because when you create the soul plan, and this is going to be tough for people who have had really hard lives, but what they're saying to me is that when the soul plan is created, and there's a lot of other things that can happen along the way that maybe aren't perfectly planned, but a lot of the things are planned. And even though you may have like what would be considered a hard life or a traumatic life, and they're like, this is going to be really hard for people, but that soul plan was created from a place of love and compassion, and a place of truly wanting to bring your soul closer to that place where it just resides in that frequency of love and compassion. And so the higher self, when it is planning out these lifetimes, is able to do it from that space. And it's almost like the higher self lives also in a place of like non-judgment. It feels very neutral, feels very loving, but it also feels very neutral. And so unfortunately, that's why we may be like, why did I choose this life? Why did I, if there's a soul plan, that makes no sense. I wouldn't have chosen this. I wouldn't have done this to myself. This life has been hard. But what it really is going on is that when you plan the lifetime, you're planning it from a place of neutrality. Like the higher self has a hard time understanding what the human experience of those experiences is, because it when you dial into the higher self, it's neutral and it's loving and it's compassionate, and it's just like, okay, well, we have to do this. And so So yeah, so it feels confusing to the human, right? So okay, let's see what else they want to say about the higher self. Also someone that you can dial into. So you have guides, and we will talk about that in a different video. You have masters, teachers, loved ones, ancestors, all of the, and you also have your higher self. And so your higher self is the part of you that you can dial into to get guidance, to standing, to your inner knowing. And so your higher self is someone you can access during your lifetime. And the higher self always has your best interest in mind. And so that's how you know if you're talking to your higher self, right? So what can happen in intuition or spirituality, and especially when you're starting to learn how to tap into a higher knowing, is that a lot of times it's hard to know if you can trust it, if you can, if it's giving you the right information, if it's your ego or whatever it is. But really what the higher self does is the higher self is the voice that you have that sounds like you, but that is purely loving and compassionate. And so when you access anything that is coming from a higher dimension, whether it be your guides or your higher self or anything like that, if it's not coming from a place of love, it is not your higher self, and it is not your guides, and it's not the angels. All of that comes from a place of unconditional love. And so, but they did want to tell you that you can access that during your lifetime, and you can access your higher self, and you can dial into it, and you can gain information about, why you are having the experiences that you're having. You can dial into your higher self to get love and comfort. You can dial into your higher self to really feel, it's like the ultimate feeling of self-love, because it is yourself, right? So the higher self is a beautiful, beautiful part of you that you can dial into and really feel loved and supported by yourself. So I hope this helped. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments, and I will be happy to create another video for you. And I hope you're having a great day. Take care.